I Am Anonymous, Chapter 2, The Goddess, Part 2. Present. Spike finishes his story about his first meeting with Anon. By this time, the small group has reached the castle and is in Twilight's private library. The guards just stand outside the door. The princesses and Spike sit on giant beanbags to support the larger alicorns. When Spike finished his story, Princess Luna was the first to speak. "It sounds like the alcohol was talking instead of Anonymous," Luna says coldly. "I don't think so. From what Spike had described, Anon wasn't drunk. He was more or less buzzed," Twilight replies. "Alcohol still affects the mind, Twilight, even after a glass or two." "Don't be so skeptical, Luna. Maybe he was just being friendly." "My point still stands." Luna crosses her forelegs. "What do you think, sister?" Princess Celestia doesn't hear Luna. She's deep in thought. In Twilight's letter she sent a week ago, Anon was described as rude, irritable, and unfriendly, much like Discord before his reformation. The Anonymous that Spike told was the polar opposite of the one in Twilight's letters. But one thing remained the same. Anonymous's mood changed when his past or family was asked about. However, there is one minor detail that bothered her. In Spike's story, Anonymous mentioned that Twilight's questions pushed personal boundaries and that she was forcing friends on him. From what she's seen, Spike never did that to Anonymous. Celestia finally found the answer she was looking for. Now there is another problem that needs addressing. However, Celestia's concentration is broke when a blue hoof waves in front of her face. "Are you alright, Tia?" Luna asked with some concern in her voice. Celestia blinks her eyes rapidly. "Yes, thank you, Lulu. I was thinking about our previous conversation. I do believe I have an answer for it," Celestia says. She explains the answer. When Celestia finishes, she turns to Twilight to fix the new problem. "Is what Anon said true? Were you asking him questions that push boundaries and force friends on him?" Celestia asks sternly. "Anon over-exaggerated a little, but yes. I couldn't find out why he was so reclusive, so I asked him some questions. The only thing I got was cold shoulder or getting a rude comment. When he didn't try to make friends, I thought introducing him to a few ponies would help. As you can tell, that hasn't worked at all," Twilight explains. Celestia rubs her muzzle with her hoof and closes her eyes. "Twilight, we've talked about this. Creatures have boundaries, and when pushed, they tend to get bent out of shape," Celestia addresses. "You must also realize that Anonymous isn't used to friendship being magic, so making friends may not come easily to him. Therefore, friends will take longer than expected, or he'll make friends independently, as he's done with Spike." Twilight is silent for a moment. Then she speaks. "I'm sorry, Celestia. I didn't realize that trying to help Anon, I was causing him to push every pony away. I just wanted to help him adjust to life here in Equestria," Twilight says. She hangs her head. "I think that apology is heartfelt, Twilight. I do. However, I'm not the one you should be apologizing to. Anon was wronged," Celestia tells Twilight. "I'll tell him when he comes to dinner tonight. If he shows up," Luna grumbles. That evening, Anon stands in front of his wood stove, cooking his favorite soup, which is broccoli and cheddar soup. The soup bubbles as it reaches Anon's desired warmth. He removes a large pot and sets it on a metal rack on the table. He takes a spoon and dips some of the soup into a small wooden bowl. Then, Anon takes a slice of bread, lays it next to his soup, and pours a small glass of water. Then he bows, says a prayer to the Virgin Mary. Anon used to pray a lot more when he was younger. However, praying did not become a daily routine when he moved out of his parents' house. He only prays when he remembers to. This night was one such night. When he finishes praying, Anon begins to eat his soup. He gets about 3 spoonfuls in when he hears a knock on the door. Anon scrunched his eyebrows and looked at the door. The second series of knocking sounds. Anon grumbles to himself as he gets up. He opens the door and gets a surprising sight. The ponies that came to his house earlier are standing at the door. "What are you doing here?" Anon asks, trying to sound polite. "You didn't come to the castle for dinner, so we came to check on you," Celestia explains. "Not to be rude, but I don't think you remember that I said I couldn't make any promises about coming to supper at the castle. My appearance would be based upon the timing of the completion of my project," Anon explains. "Hence, us standing here and not at the castle." They stand silent until Princess Celestia catches a whiff of Anon's soup. She looks past Anon and spots the large pot on the table. "What kind of soup is that?" she asks curiously. "Broccoli and cheddar," Anon replies. "Come on in and have some. I'm going to assume you've already had a supper, though." "Just a light one. I still have some room, though," Twilight admits. The same happened with Spike and Luna. Anon motions for the group to come inside the house. The guards try to stay outside, but Anon insists they come in. They walk inside and head into the dining room. "You may have to cast a duplication spell on the bowls, spoons, and chairs. I typically don't get visitors, so I didn't buy multiple seats," Anon says. "How did you know that we could do that?" Luna asks suspiciously. Anon shrugs. "Lucky guess." Princess Celestia casts the spell, and 8 chairs, spoons, and bowls appear. After that, Anon dips the soup into the bowls with a spoon. While the ponies eat the soup, Anon walks over to the cupboard and pulls out a medium-sized bottle of bourbon and 2 small glasses. He sets the glasses on the table and pours some into them. He pushes a glass towards Luna. "A little pony told me that you have a taste in alcoholic beverages," Anon tells Luna. He sits down in his chair. "And who told you that?" Luna asks as she takes the glass up in her magic. She looks at the dark liquid closely. "The biggest loudmouth in Equestria," Anon replies. "Lady Rainbow Dash." Luna is unamused. "Bingo." Anon snaps his fingers and points finger guns at Luna. Anon picks up his glass and toasts to good health. Luna and Anon knock back the drinks. Luna's eyes bulge. Every pony watches Luna as she begins to wince, as the liquid burns down her throat. Although it isn't the most vile thing she's drank, this drink is strong enough to give her an instant buzz. "What the hell was that?" Luna asks. Anon cracks a smile at Luna's use of a curse word. "It had the smoothest of bourbon, but the buck of vodka." "It's bourbon, but I added a little tequila to give it that kick," Anon replies. "Did you like it, though?" "I must admit, it's better than Pony's other concoctions." "I'll take it." Anon offers some to Princess Celestia, who declines, as do Twilight and the guards. Celestia explains that the guards are not allowed to drink on the job. Then Anon and Luna start a conversation about alcoholic beverages and, strangely enough, about the Equestrian Armed Forces. The group talks as they go through several soupings of the soup. Princess asks Anonymous some questions to show Twilight how to ask questions without being prying or pushing boundaries. However, the primary reason is to get to know Anon better. Much to everyone's surprise, Anon answers the questions without being snarky or rude. When the conversation begins to die, Celestia looks at Twilight, saying, "It's time." Twilight immediately gets nervous, but Celestia has that motherly look in her eyes. She takes a deep breath and faces Anon. Anon? Twilight says. Sup? Anon replies. I owe you an apology. Twilight takes another deep breath and continues. I'm sorry for trying to pry into your personal life. I didn't realize that talking about your past was sensitive to you. I'm also sorry for trying to force ponies on you so you could make friends. I didn't see how my actions were affecting you. I hope you can accept my apology and forgive me. Anon glares at Twilight with a blank stare. He crosses his arms. I accept your apology, Twilight, but forgiving you will take some time. Anon leans forward and speaks coldly. Taking time to forgive you may seem stupid and unnecessary, but it isn't to me. You asked questions about a topic I didn't feel comfortable talking about. Even this conversation borders on my comfort zone. If you were close friends, I wouldn't have had a problem sharing that stuff with you. But we aren't. I don't want my insecurities or things like that getting out because, from what I've seen, ponies are almost exactly like humans. They will gossip, say things behind my back, and spread rumors that aren't true. That severely pisses me off, beyond comprehension. However, you scored a few brownie points by having the audacity to apologize. Anon stands up, walks to the front door, and opens it. I need some air. I'll be right back. Anon closes the door and sits in a chair on the reconstructed porch. Not long after Anon sits down, Princess Celestia walks onto the patio. She sits down on the porch next to Anon. They sit in silence for a few minutes. It's so quiet that Anon can hear every move and breath Celestia takes. He looks over at the white alicorn. She is as majestic and beautiful as the ponies of Ponyville had described her. Well, a little less, if Anon is being honest with himself. The ponies made Celestia and Luna out to be goddesses. When he met them that afternoon, they weren't goddesses. They were just royals with godlike powers. You're different than I expected you to be, Anon says. Celestia turns her head and meets Anon's gaze. How so? She asks. You don't treat me like the ponies around here. They treat me like I'm some monster, yet you treat me with kindness. I expected you to be like an over-pampered, know-it-all goddess, or something to that effect. Anon explains. Why do you treat me with kindness? My response is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Then Anon feels guilt course through his body. He remembers that phrase from Mass when he was younger. However, Anon remembers how he treated the ponies rudely simply because he wanted to be alone. Anon dislikes Twilight, but he knows he could have treated her nicely. Now I feel like an asshole. I've been rude to many ponies lately, and have no excuse. I'm no more innocent than Twilight is. It's understandable to feel that way, Anonymous. When Mother told me that phrase as a filly, it convicted me in more ways than you realize. It's good to be convicted of transgressions because you recognize that what you did was wrong. Your anger and hostility possibly turned away potential friends. But the good thing is that it's not too late. You just got off on the wrong hoof. That's all. For example, Luna didn't like you at first, but after your conversation with her about alcoholic beverages and the military, I think she's warmed up to you. My parents always told me I was an acquired taste. Celestia is confused. I thought you didn't like talking about your family, Celestia says. I don't. I told you that because you're different from everyone else. There's another reason why you're different. You took the time to get to know me. You asked the usual get-to-know-you questions and listened to my responses. Very few people have done that. I'm trying to say that you've gained my trust, and I don't trust many people, as if it wasn't obvious. Thank you, Anonymous. I appreciate that. Honestly, I think you're a kind stallion, a human. I believe the Anonymous that I saw tonight is true, not the one ponies think you are. The two sit silently for a moment before Anon turns to Celestia again. Speaking of getting off on the wrong foot, would it be possible if we started over? I was an asshole earlier this afternoon, and I apologize, Anon says. That sounds like a wonderful idea, and I accept your apology, Celestia replies. Anon awkwardly sticks out his hand for Celestia to shake. He smiles a nervous smile. Hi, I'm Anonymous, but ponies around here call me Anon. Anon greets. Celestia sets her hoof in Anon's hand and smiles a friendly smile. The two shake hands, or whatever you would call it. It's a pleasure to meet you, Anon. I am Princess Celestia, Princess of the Sun and co-ruler of Equestria. However, my friends call me Tia. Well, that was it, everybody. And I know that it's been a bit since I've posted anything, well, actual content, that is. And I'm sorry about that, once again. It's good to get content out again, and, yeah. I just can't believe that I made it this far on YouTube, man. It's just crazy, in my opinion, that is. I guess if you make good enough content and it starts to pick up traction, then, well, you can get a pretty good YouTube channel going. But, yeah. I guess all I can really do is thank all of you for supporting me, I guess. Once again, I love to read your comments. It's nice to see someone that actually cares. Cares about the channel, that is. So, I guess, leave a comment. I'll check it out, and I'll try to reply. And, yeah, thank you all. Stay golden. Have a good day.